Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Adelaide versus Melbourne game, in which Melbourne came out on top yet again. You could pretty much have scripted this game in general. It was pretty much what I thought would actually happen. I mean, Melbourne in the end should have probably won by more, to be honest with you. They were up by I think 28 at three-quarter time or something like that. I think it was like 2-5 or whatever to 2-6 or whatever to 5 behind in the last quarter. It was pretty boring footy, and so Melbourne in the end won by 15 points, and they kicked 10 goals 18 to Adelaide's 8 goals 15, so there was 18 goals and 33 behinds. Usually we want to see the 1-to-1 conversion rate, and that wasn't it today. But then again, Melbourne, I think, were up by my tip at three-quarter time, and then in the last quarter they just decided to just kick it down the line every opportunity they had. And just quickly checking that if that is the case, that they're up by, was that 73 to 45? So they were up by my exact tip of 28 at three-quarter time, and then Adelaide won the last quarter, but the game was dead by then. And so we're just going to go through all of the players, and do I see any changes in that Adelaide midfield? I put a tweet about it that's kind of gone crazy, and I do see a change happening, but I think it's not going to be the change that necessarily I want for fantasy purposes. But it will be interesting to see what actually occurs. Anyway, before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this recap. So, as you can see, first off, Dawson 112 and tied with Pachaka for the top score of the game. A 112 from Dawson. If it will load here, he just had a pretty consistent game. I don't think he was too efficient by foot, I want to say, or he was onto a really good Supercoach score, and then it just came crashing back down. He ended up with a 99 Supercoach. So I think one thing that's going to really help Dawson out once they fix this midfield up, because it is not working, this midfield. It's a clearance midfield that takes dump kicks or slows the game down. And that's why they're not scoring. Their score involvements per disposal are down almost half to pretty much every other team in the comp. They're looking at about 5 disposals per goal involvement, whereas other midfielders are roughly 1 and 3 or 1 and 4. So they're just down heavily. I think Dawson will help once they do move. In my opinion, now it has to be Rory Laird to half back and move Soligo into the mid on ball, and then also move and have the ability to play a Rankin and also Rochelle, and also there's one else here that I wanted to point out. Doesn't look like anyone else. Or maybe even a Dowling. They can play another midfielder on ball a little bit more, and that will really help just create run, because they need run. They've got the contested ball down pat with that midfield, 110%. They've got it down pat, but they need run out of that midfield, and there's no run. It's set for Dawson at the moment, but basically teams are just going, well, it's Dawson, so we'll just man up on Dawson and let Crouch and Laird have 30 touches each a game, because they're not going to impact the game. And did they really impact the game, Rory Laird and Crouch? Not really. If we actually look at AFL.com, we'll look at this, and then it's probably going to show that Rory Laird is like the number 1 player on the field or whatever. Petrarca, then Rory Laird, Hinge, Rankin, Hinge, Fogarty, Soligo. Then we go down for where is he? Matt Crouch, a 2.5 rating for the game. He did nothing, absolutely nothing for the game. And it was Christian Pachaka. This is why I mean that a midfielder really needs to look at the stats here. Christian Pachaka here, 487 metres gained. Not many others had metres gained, 374 for Dawson. But then we look down here, and we look Matt Crouch, 107 for 30 disposals. Then we also look down here, and we see, where is he? He's actually up here a little bit. Rory Laird, 300 metres gained on 24. That's actually not the worst for Rory Laird. So he actually got involved a little bit. But you can just see in general that they're not getting involved in actually moving the ball downfield. And that is why they are really, really struggling at this point in time. So you got, Matt Crouch, 106. I think he obviously is going really well. And it'll be interesting to see where they line up next week. If they do bring in another midfielder, and they do drop a defender, then I wouldn't be surprised if Crouch is moving permanently on ball. And if he does do that, he could be a top, like as in they move Laird out and he is the one that stays. Then I genuinely think that Crouch could be a top sort of 10 mid, top 10 to 12 mid. As he'll average probably around that 106, 105 mark, which will be absolutely huge. And for those that missed, it's kind of annoying, as that probably prices him around that sort of 950k range, and he's still got another 940, 930k range, and he's still got another like 110 to go after this week, 100k to go in rises. Smith, 105, Laird, as we talked about, 103, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves to half back. Soligo, 102, they just need consistency from him. I looked through and he's had, I think, one good game and sort of a couple of 70s and maybe a 50, which sort of gets him around that 70 mark now. Hinge, 100, he was all right. Keane as well, another one that's getting the ball use down there, but I wonder if Laird moves down back, whether that will continue. I just don't want to jump on a key defender. If we look at Keane, he's sort of 194 centimetres a key defender. And I don't know whether he'll get as much ball use as it seems like they were going to him in the last quarter, trying to switch the ball up. And I think they'll just go through Rory Laird next week if they do move him down back. Taylor Walker, an 80. O'Brien, a 77. And then again, this is one of the problems as well I think people are missing, is that Riley O'Brien in their midfield. He isn't the most agile ruckman, so he doesn't really provide on the ground. And whenever he gets the ball, he just puts it on the boot, and it usually turns the ball over, or it's just a dump kick. So they have sort of their two, I guess, he's just not adding to the fluency of that midfield. Rankin, 71, he needs to get that midfield time to be any use. Worrell, 71, he's just going to be, I think, a mid-70s sort of type of defender. I don't think he's really going to be fancy relevant. McElhaney, 65, Chase Jones, 61, Rochelle, 58, did all of his work in the last quarter. But yeah, they just need to get the ball in his hands and he'll do the work, because at the moment it's a lot of just players, their forwards not doing anything for 3/4 of the game and then asking them to do something, and that's just not working, especially these half forwards that can go into the midfield. Nankervis looked all right, but he got a 57 or a 57 from him, so not going to be fancy relevant. McHenry, Keys, 53. He could also go into the midfield and provide some run, to be honest, for them, but it's just not working at the moment. Fogarty, Cook, Berry came on as a sub and looked all right, but then again, he just added to the midfield contested slow ball that they have going at the moment. Parnell injured his shoulder, Butts, and then Burgess out of the game. So glad I didn't go Burgess in the end now, as his cash gen is cooked. And that's what key forwards you don't go for. Petrarca, he did 35, 35, 17, 25, so he was all right, 112. Gordon really started well and then just faded in the second half because the game really didn't need him, to be honest with you. And yeah, so happy I didn't go the VC on him, as that would probably be just short of the marker for him, for what I'd want. And yeah, happy that I've got the VC of Isaac Heaney lined up into a Steele captaincy. Viney did all right. Stephen May did all right as well. But then again, they're not really going to be fancy relevant. Sparrow, not really fancy. None of these guys really are fancy relevant. Salem, a good last quarter for him, except for this massive drop at the end of the game here. You can see that would have had him at, what is that? He got a tackle taken away and a free kick. And a free kick as well, which put him back down at a 67 from a 74. A 74 wouldn't have been as bad, but he's going to drop some cash and not really fancy relevant anymore. Piggott looking potentially at a suspension similar to the Baker one. I reckon it will be 1 week. Windsor, 61, he looked all right and he's gaining cash slowly, but I think if you started him, you may as well just hold him because he's going to get to like 460k, but it's going to be such a slow grind. It may take till like week 9 or week 10, and it was almost more efficient to, I think, have 2 or 3 rookies and cycle them that were quicker scorers than Windsor. Rivers, 60, Petty, Fritsch, Neil Bullen, McDonald, Langdon. Billings, a 49, so happy I got rid of him. A 49 wasn't going to be fancy relevant, and yeah, so that was just a bad pickup at the start. As he really doesn't get involved in games. Lever, Howes with a 30. We'll look and see if he needs to go, depending on what I can do. If one of the Gold Coast defenders gets in for the next week, like is it Will Graham and Closey? If they both play well, then I can grab one of them and get rid of Howes, and that will get me get the cash gen going again, and still get me Grundy to Marshall. And then Ben Brown was didn't really have an impact. Key forwards didn't really have an impact last night, and then Woe Whedon with a 7 coming on at the end of the game. So that pretty much is the video there, going through the Adelaide versus Melbourne game, in which Melbourne came out on top because their midfield's more efficient and leads to more scores, because their midfield gets more damaging clearances. They're more of an impact midfield, and that's how they won the game on the night. They really didn't have much. Their ball use actually down back from both sides was pretty poor. And yeah, if Melbourne had kicked straight, this game would have been over very, very quickly. But anyway, that pretty much is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.